So now I'm in a studio where I work. It's called Moicano Studios. I work here with 3 composers, and we just made this amazing project. That's a movie that now is in theaters, and that was like my first big project. So I remember that one day that I came and they told me, okay, Sarah, we need to talk with you. And I was like, no, what did I do wrong? You know, they're gonna fire me after a month.
Oh,
you know?
God. It's like it's only a month.
I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And they told me, so we have a project and we want you to be part of it because the team is looking for a Mexican composer. And I think it's a great opportunity to... And I stopped listening there, you know.
You just relaxed and you're like, okay, I'm not fired. Everything else is fine.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
That was my reaction, you know. Well, I studied for almost a year, architecture. And then I discovered that I wasn't made for that. I didn't feel happy. I remember going to the classes and... I felt that something was missing. And music was always in my life since I was a little girl. And I wanted to explore more, you know, that part, that artistic part of me. Just one day I woke up and I decided to quit and to start my adventure in the music. And the moment when I entered to that studio, I was like, what is this? That was the moment where I realized that I wanted to compose and that I wanted to compose for image, you know.
Thank you so much for joining us again. Welcome back. And I'm going to introduce you, Sara Cáceres. You are an extraordinary music composer, very young, brilliant. And also a project manager in the entertainment industry, which is also a big path. We want to know more about your journey. And you're originally from Mexico, now you're in Barcelona. Tell us about how it started, where is it going, and what are your aspirations?
Thank you for having me. Well, I've been living here in Barcelona for 2 years, well, 2.5, because I came for studying my master's degree. That was music for audiovisual media, focused more in the film industry. And I just fell in love with the city and I had a job opportunity. Well, now I have 2 jobs. So I just take that opportunity and I stay to see where it goes. And so now I'm in a studio where I work. It's called Moicano Studios. And well, this is our workspace. We have another room also. And I work here with 3 composers, 3 guys from Catalonia. And well, they are my mentors, they are my friends, and we just made this amazing project that we'll talk about it later. That's a movie that now is in theaters, and I think that was like my first big project, and it was an amazing experience. I'm so grateful for having the chance to do that.
Was it always?
And well, about the project management,
Yeah.
That's because I studied music business, and that was my official career. So I work in an entertainment company, and we make different projects for example, for museums or attraction parks and this immersive experiences. And I'm there as a project manager and seeing more like the organizational part of the process. And it's pretty cool because they are also linked with music and with audiovisual. So I like to be on both sides of the business.
Nice. But there is more to your story, right? Because you studied as an architecture.
Yeah. Well, I studied for almost a year architecture because I thought it was my dream. And then I discovered that I wasn't made for that. I didn't feel happy. I remember going to the classes, and I felt that something was missing. And music was always in my life since I was a little girl, and I wanted to explore more, that part, that artistic part of me. But it was a tough way because, of course, my parents didn't allow me to study like a formal career. And to be honest, we didn't have schools in my city, so I had to travel to another country or to the capital. So it was hard, but I said I don't want to be unhappy, the rest of my life, or frustrated. So just one day I woke up and I decided to quit for the architecture career and to start my adventure in the music. So I traveled to Mexico City. I traveled to New York. I lived there for a while, and all the time I studied and I worked at the same time, for paying my studies and my courses and everything. And that was how I started with my training for music, like picking up whatever I could. And yeah, that's
Was it?
that's the
I'm
background.
just listening to you. I'm like, okay, wow. Because I know you're talking about you're pretty young when you decide, like, I'm not going to do what doesn't make me happy. And a lot of people out there, and I'm definitely one of those, like it takes us way longer than you to stand up and go like, okay, no, this is not making me happy. I'm gonna, you know, walk towards or take the steps towards it. Like where did you get that, like that strength? Like to just take your hands, like take your life into your own hands and go for it.
I think my mom always told me to follow my dreams in many ways, and she's an outstanding woman. I really admire her, and even when she wasn't supporting me for the music because she couldn't, like, talking about the economic part, she do supported me, like, with motivation. And well, she saw me that I wasn't happy, and I had a few conversations with her, and until she realized that I didn't want to do that, and she was the one who was there, and she told me, okay, go for it. So it was an important support for me. Yeah, my mom.
But it's also that you made this decision without, as from my understanding, not even asking for someone's permission, which you shouldn't, with your life. But still, being so young, do you remember the exact moment where you just like? Was it one moment where you were just like, that doesn't feel right? I know exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm not heading in the right direction. Do you remember? You said you woke up one morning, but decision making is not very linear. So it's like you wake up one morning and you want to do something, then next morning you're like confused. So how was it for you? What was the build up to this moment where you've just decided, no, that's like, I'm done. I wanna do something else. I wanna follow my dreams.
Well, of course, it wasn't like from a moment to another one. It took me several months to process the information, how I was feeling. And I've always been a person that tries to understand what's happening inside of me. So I mean, I realize when I'm not good, when I'm not being me. And so I just felt weird, like I went to the school and I couldn't I couldn't build anything from there, like, because I wasn't good. So I think the moment when I realized that I didn't want to do that, it was because I realized what I wanted to do, which was
Right.
music. And yeah, I had a friend at that moment, and he was recording a song. His well, of course, he's a musician, and he told me, "Hey, do you want to come to the studio and record some voices with me because I want you to be in the recording." And I said, okay, let's go. And the moment when I entered to that studio, I was like, what is this? I felt so joyful. I don't know, like so happy, so like with energy, and I was like seeing everything, wanting to try everything, and it was an amazing day. So I think that was like the perfect mix between not wanting to do something and also discovering what I wanted to do. So that also helped me.
Wow. So you're in the studio. Like, how did music enter your life? And also then when it comes to composing, for me, composing is so, I don't know, far away. It seems so difficult. At the same time, I have this feeling that this is something that people just either you have it or you don't. Like, and I'm sure that I'm totally wrong, but that's just a little bit the image that I have of it, like Mozart and Beethoven. You know what I mean? I'm like things like that. How did it enter your life, and how did it come to this decision of like composing? Because you could have done anything with music.
Well, I started when I was 8 years old, and my grandma gave me a piano, and she told me, "Let's try," because I've always been like an artistic person. I like to draw. I like to, well, a lot of things that are related with art, and I think she saw something. I don't know. And
We love our
so
grandmas.
she gave me this
Just saying,
this
sorry.
piano. What?
I said we love our grandmas. That's what I said.
Yeah, she was the first one. And so I started going to classes, and I enjoy it so much, the classes. And I also started to like to sing with the piano and to make some covers of songs of my favorite groups. And I mean, I had like 10 years or something like that. So yeah, that was the beginning. And like I said, music has always been in my life in so many ways. I don't know, when I started growing up and in the school, I always took like the workshops that were related with music, for singing or for music theater or whatever I could do. I took that opportunity. So I started to explore different areas of music. And when I studied my career, I explored as well in the part of business. And for a while, I was a project manager for, well, personal manager for independent artists. And I also worked in a music magazine. And I made interviews for the artists. And what else? I worked in festivals. I was always like related with music, connected with music. And then I was like, okay, I think I have to try it in an artistic way, like in a creative way. What can I do? Maybe it's for me or maybe not. I don't know. So I took like a master class. It was for just one weekend, and it was film scoring course. So that was the moment where I realized that I wanted to compose, and that I wanted to compose for image, for like specifically for image. So I had this teacher that I'm still in touch with him. He wrote me like a couple of weeks ago, and he was like my first mentor in this way. And I started working with him in his studio, and I was like a manager of the social media and everything, with exchange of receiving classes from him. So it was like a pay method.
It was a win-win.
Yes, exactly.
For both.
Yeah, for both.
Yes.
Lucky him and lucky you. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah,
So interesting,
it was
because
awesome.
you, as you said, like 1 week masterclass, it's nothing, right? 1 week is nothing. It's like 1 week is like that. But when you know exactly what you want, and there is this something that is kind of answering this calling inside you, you don't even have to have a week. It was the same for me. I've done like 5 weeks of filmmaking 2 years ago, like a program. And before I tried to compartmentalize myself into something completely different. And it never worked. Like I was trying to convince myself, I was like, I'll give it more time and more time and more time. And never felt like mine. And then those 5 days and they just changed my world, my life, everything about me. And I've started feeling much more happier and much more fulfilled in many ways, even though I'm like still making steps. And it's so beautiful. I'm so glad that you did it and that you're on right now on this path. But I want to know how you guys met, because you met in Berlinale.
I wanted to say that. Yes,
Please.
exactly. I wanted to ask. Well, talk about that, Sarah, because we met at the Berlinale, and it was female empowerment leadership. There was like this producer hub that I was there. I came too late. Valeria, I'm telling you. I ran into the room. I was like, it was so hot. It was so hot. And Sarah was sitting like close to my friend that I was meeting there. Then this amazing coach and actress and coach and woman, she said, we're doing these exercises and we have to pick a partner, not someone you know, but Sarah and I, we immediately looked at each other. It was clear. We're like, okay, we're doing it together. Because I wanted to meet someone new. And I just loved your energy. And you started talking about like your path and your strength and how because that was the part of the exercise. I have to say that, which is beautiful, that you celebrate yourself, because we do that not often enough. We forget to celebrate ourselves. And so we had this exercise and we bonded, and I immediately asked Sarah, I was like, okay, we need you on the podcast, and which is beautiful because now you are the first composer, female composer, woohoo, on Ambitchiously Intelligent. Hey, very excited. How was it for you then at the Berlinale, your experience?
It was an overwhelming experience, but amazing. It was my first festival, and the guy who I'm working with, well, my friend, he told me, why don't you try it? You know, like going there, making some contacts and experiencing this. And I said, okay, let's go there. So I met good people, you know, so talented people and people who inspire me and people who I'm in touch with right now, like you. So I think it was one of the best decisions, you know, going there. I had a few moments that were pretty tough regarding, you know, being a woman in the industry, of course. And it's tough because you realize that it's true, you know, it's not a lie. So I had these few moments. Fortunately, they were too little, but I had it. And I went there with two friends, actually, two composers. And it was also weird because I realized that composers are like pretty competitive. We are not used to to share, you know, the space, and because we don't have that idea that you can make alliances, you know, in the projects. So I feel like this kind of competition, which I don't like it because I don't know, that's not my way of working. But I respect,
Same.
you know, everyone else's. So that was hard because I was expecting this journey different, but it was okay because I had the opportunity to meet people, more people, you know, because I was alone. So that encouraged me to do that. And well, yeah, that was my experience.
Can we tap into this, because I think it's important. I think it's important that we, particularly as women, that we just look at this hard situation and what can we learn from it. And I know, as we've talked before, that you really took something amazing out of it, and it was even more empowering again. And when I listened to it, I was like, okay, that is amazing. I would love our audiences to be able to hear that, because the way you tackled the situation, if that's okay with you, if you would talk about it, I think it's as I said, very empowering and beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, I want to share it. Well, as I said, I had like different situations, but like the most maybe uncomfortable one, or that I noticed about it, it was when I was waiting for an elevator at the Berlinale, and I was with other companions. So there was a guy there, and he started to talk to me, like conversation of whatever. It wasn't about job or work or anything professional, just an ordinary conversation. And so suddenly, when we started to talk about things that were more related with, the professional area, a guy just standed like physically and in all ways, like in the middle of us. So he was like entering to the conversation, which it wasn't bad, of course, but not that way, because he just like pushed me away, like, and I couldn't be able to go on with that conversation, because the other guy also, he wasn't interesting of listening to me. And I realized about that, because I tried several times, like trying to get in the conversation again, and I was like invisible for
And
for
the
the two of
conversation
them.
got professional, right? So it was
Yeah,
about networking in the industry.
exactly.
So the
So
way it was, as you said, like first you're talking, this guy starts talking to you. You are there with friends. I mean, it's someone you know, as it's a colleague, yeah. And then
yeah,
your colleague, they all of a sudden, like, he goes in between and starts talking to this man that you were talking to, and in a professional way. And all of a sudden you are just outside. They're not even looking at you, or they're not even considering to
exactly.
include you. So you are excluded, and you say you try to then like step into the conversation again, but they were just not allowing it somehow, with their energies and their body, the way they were standing or
Yeah,
something like that.
everything was telling me that, I mean, you're not welcome in this conversation, because you're not interesting, or you don't have nothing to give to this talk. That was how I felt. So it was it was annoying, of course,
That's not
and
annoying.
and frustrating.
That's that. Yeah, that is frustrating as fuck. Sorry, that is
But the
not
solution
okay.
that you found is really interesting, because like you didn't close off, you didn't do anything, to show that that wasn't okay. You actually opened up and you tell us, because I find
Yeah,
it's
I
very
mean,
inspiring for in many situations with men.
thank you. Yeah, I wanted to give them like a chance to to change, that behavior, because like the first time I was like, maybe they didn't notice about this. Okay, let's try it again. But after, I don't know, like 4 times trying it, I was like, okay, they just don't want to include me here. So yeah, I mean, after that, I talked with my friend, of course, because I said, okay, I can talk with the guy that I don't know, but I can talk with the one that actually I care about, and I know he cares about me as well. So I was like, I have to talk with him and tell him how he made me feel, and that wasn't a good behavior. He can't do that. So I talked with him after after the Berlinale, because I think it wasn't like a good moment for having that conversation.
Smart.
But we talked later, and I told him, and of course he just apologized, and he told me, I didn't realize about that, and thank you for telling me. I will be more careful. And yeah, I think that's what we have to do, like not normalizing that kind of things
Yes.
and telling the people, you know what, this is happening and it's not okay.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And I think it's beautiful how you assess the situation and you're like, okay, I tried, I did my best. They are excluding me. Okay, that's just that's horrendous in the moment, but you were like, I'm going to allow it to be what it is. I'm not going to push anymore. And then you still wait. Like you didn't immediately then go to your colleague who was the one that started this conversation and kind of like excluded you. But you were like, no, I'm going to wait. Berlinale, we're going to be there. I'm going to network and do what why I'm here. And then afterwards talk to him. And I think that's pretty cool that you
Thank
assess
you.
the situation in such a good way and you were like, no, I'm going to wait. And also what I think is beautiful, and I think that has also to do with the team that you, the studio you're now in and the ones you work with, is I think it's beautiful the way he responded then and that he took responsibility and said, hey, I'm sorry. I wasn't aware and thank you for making me aware of this. And I think you're also the reason you're at the Berlinale. Wasn't that because of, the guys you work with now at the studio? Can you tell
Yeah.
us about that?
Well, yeah, these guys are like my mentors, as I mentioned before, and they are helping me like to building my professional career here, and they've been an amazing support for me. And yeah, so one of them, which is like my boss, yeah, it is my boss. He told me about Berlinale. I was coming back from Mexico because I went there for vacations and to visit my family, and so I was coming back and we just get in touch again. And he told me, "Hey, there's this festival. I don't know if you're interested in, but we have like so like a few time, to applying and for the accreditation and for everything." So I was like, I don't know if I would be able to go. But he said like, let's try. I think you're gonna like it because you're like social. You like this stuff, and I think it will be something that will inspire you as well. To starting a new project or something. So basically, he gave me all the information, and he also helped me going there. Like in all ways, also like in a monetary way, in with accreditation, with everything. And we talked while I was there. And yeah, so he called me and he told me, how was the day, what did you do today, how are you feeling, are you okay, do you need anything?
That's amazing.
So that is good to have and to feel, because of course you're so far from home. So having this kind of support, like in so many ways, yeah, I'm so thankful for that. And they are two guys that I mean, they want to understand and to learn about this whole movement, about the feminism and the figure of woman in the industry, because they ask me sometimes, for specific topics, or we have conversations, and they show me like, there's this workshop. Do you want to join? Do you want to see this? And yeah.
That's admirable.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
that's how
is.
it's supposed to be, but I guess, because we're not spoiled in that way, that sounds very admirable, I have to say.
Valeria, you're right when you say that. I have that.
You know.
That is true. Totally true. Yeah.
100%. But also you're involved in the Women Association, and the projects that you guys are doing are also very progressive, inspiring, and you open up your doors to many different creative women. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing and the projects that you're looking to collaborate with? Yeah.
With this association?
Yes.
Well, yeah, this is like a Spanish association, but we are from all over the world, and it's called CIMA, and it's for the women that are involved in the film industry, or well, in the audiovisual industry. and I'm representing my like a community, or like the composers part of it, with other two girls, and we're trying to activate like our presence. Is it okay to say that?
Yeah. Yes,
Presence,
yes,
you know, in the industry, and trying to collaborate with like independent filmmakers and talents that are new, you know. So it is a pretty interesting association, because you can get in touch, you know, you can really get in touch with these girls and with the projects, and you feel like you are part of it, of course, because when I have attended to some, I don't know, workshop or anything, you feel that energy, you know, like women energy, and that everyone are so welcoming and warm, and I think that is really important for us now that we are getting better in this whole situation about the feminism and everything. It is good to be active, and at least just to know about it, and what can you do, and who you can collaborate with, because of course we know that this is a world that you collaborate and you work with so many people, so it is interesting knowing this.
And that's the beautiful part, is that women should not compete. That the collaboration is the part of that you co-create, and the collaboration is the important part. And you said that the music industry is very competitive, and especially like composers, they see each other as like a separate entity, right? But you do have a lot of collaborations as well. You co-write something. And isn't it beautiful, the women like supporting each other and like doing things creatively, because you also have not only composers, but you have filmmakers, you have probably actors from all fields. And imagine like the projects that are possible in this way. It's like the opportunities are limitless.
Yeah,
But
totally.
do you guys do workshops? Do you do what kind of activities do you have in this community?
Yeah, we have like online activities and also on-site activities. So basically, I mean, you can send to the directors of CIMA if you're interested in taking some, I don't know, some workshop into the collective, and or propose some person also, and so they just evaluate that, and they say, okay, we can do that. So yeah, we have different seminars and like this open forums, and you know, to show statistics as well. We have spaces for networking, and there are sometimes that we met to, yeah, you know, to practice networking in a more professional way, and there are some times that we just met to drink something and to talk about it, and to make friends.
Nice.
Basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can anyone join, or how is that? How does that work? I mean, in obviously those in the film industry, but like, can anyone from all over the world, or do you have to be based?
I think you have to be based in Spain. Any part of it. But I'm not really sure about that. Yeah, we pay like a really small fee, and that's for, you know, for paying the workshops or anything that the association needs to do. That's like our support. But yeah, anyone. I mean, you don't have to have a background in the film industry, like, I don't know, a movie or whatever. I mean, you can be starting, or you can be in the middle of your career, anything. So that is also interesting, because you can get in contact with people who are emerging and people who have a lot of experience. So that is an interesting mix, I think.
What I thought was interesting too is that how active you are, and because you immediately reached out, and after Berlinale again, you wrote me and talked about like if Valeria and I maybe want to offer a course or something, or we want to connect with you guys. And I thought that was really inspiring, that you're not just, you know, consuming, Sara, but you are out there and you are, you know, looking for interesting opportunities for the women inside of the association, CIMA, to learn and to grow and to network even further. And can you tell me about that? Because it was interesting. I even thought, I was like, is this her association? First I thought that. I was like, wait, that is so cool. This is something she's starting. And then I realized this is something that's been going on for some time. So how did you, is that everyone has that part or can take that part? Or is it something that you just as a manager, you used to doing things like that, that you manage stuff? Is that why, or what? Yeah, tell me.
Well, I think everyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can make any proposal that you want to. I think sometimes people aren't aware of how many possibilities you can reach and you can have, and it's not only about. Sometimes it happens, you know, that a possibility or an opportunity finds you, but I think most of the time is the other way. You have to look for it, you know, and you have to go outside and be active, because otherwise it's nothing gonna happen. So I've always liked that, you know, to get in touch with people, and of course I've been refused so many times, like I don't know, people who aren't interested. But I think on this way, I learned not to feel bad about that, you know, about being rejected. Sorry, that's the word that I was looking for. Of course, you know, rejection sometimes can be, I mean, you feel like scared or hurt, but I don't know why I've never felt this.
You have never?
No, you know, it's like if someone rejects me, it's just like, okay, maybe it's not a good bond here, but I try not to take it personal. I try not to say, okay, do I have something wrong? It's more like, it's just, it doesn't work, and it's totally fine. I can look for another person or another space to collaborate, to do things. And so I felt a really good connection with you when I met you at the Berlinale. And of course, since the first moment, I said, yes, I want to be in that podcast, and
well, Larry,
I want
was
to
really
explore
working her.
more.
I was like, we need you. You have to be on the podcast. This is amazing. I was like, that is amazing. That means that you have been doing this for a long time, that you just cold email people, reach out, and you're totally fine with if they say no, then you're like, okay, then we are not a match. That's okay.
Yeah.
It is true.
Of course, I think for the first times I felt bad, of course, and scared of not doing it again. But then I just got used to it. You know, I make it part of it. Maybe like taking rejection as a part of like something normal, and also that I think that also happens with failure. You know, when you fail in something, you have to also to make it part of you, you know, because you can always learn from these situations, I think.
Yes, definitely. I'm just,
That's
again,
very wise.
I'm just yes, I'm just mesmerized and just like, wow, that's amazing. I can tell you can be very. I'm going to be honest here. I think the first times when I was going out there as an actress and like presenting myself, and then I was getting no's, I was devastated. I was like, like I was like, the world, you know. And I took it personally. I was like, I am so bad. I'm not good enough. Da 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 da. Which is obviously, you know, it can't be the truth. Of course it can't be. That's why you just work and hone your craft and just continue working. But a lot of the times it has to do with, are you the type? Like, is this the energy they're looking for? And as you say, is it the synergy in the room? Do you fit as a team? That's most of the time what's happening. So I'm very impressed with how you handled this, and that it's cool. It's really cool.
I think it's also like pretty related with me, because of the music. Because when I wanted to study this and I wanted to do this, I received so many bad comments about it, so many rejections, and not only from people outside, but from my people, and that hurts a lot. Your parents or your friends that told you can't do it. You're not gonna make it. This is not so many comments. So I think I took this and I said, like, I can do it, I have to do it. And I don't know how, but at least I will try it, for me, not for anybody else. So I think that's why I think like this, that about failure, about rejection. It's because I just got used to it. And I realized, okay, Sarah, you have to learn how to live with that if you want to live for this and from this, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very mature way of looking at things. Yeah.
No.
But you have also huge success recently. There is this movie feature, Barren Land, that you composed for, and it was presented at Málaga Film Festival. You received an international acclaim. And composing something like that, it's a collaborative effort, right? So you work with your team, and can you share a little bit of a creative process behind it? Because this is something very fascinating. Excuse me. For someone outside of it, composing is looking like a magic, like a wizardry. Where do you begin? How do you receive a script first? Do you talk to the director? I know you were even invited on set. So we are very excited to get to know the story. Please share it.
Yes, so the director is a pretty close friend from Lucas and Frank, these two composers I work with. And they received this project, like, so way before the film and the filming and everything. And they had this script. And this is like it's a co-production of Spain and Mexico. So the team said, you know what, we want a Mexican composer because, the director is Spanish, the writer is Spanish. So we need, an author that is from Mexico. So they thought about me and they said, okay, I was just arriving to the studio. Like,
wow.
I was totally new.
Wow.
So I remember that one day that I came and they told me, okay, Sarah, we need to talk with you. And I was like, no, what did I do wrong? They're going to fire me after a month,
Oh, God. It's like it's only a month.
I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And they told me, so we have a project, we have a movie, and we want you to be part of it because the team is looking for a Mexican composer. And I think it's a great opportunity to... And I stopped listening there. I was like...
You just relaxed and you're like, okay, I'm not fired. Everything else is fine.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
That was my reaction,
It's
I was
surreal.
like, if you're joking, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Don't fuck with me. Don't do it.
Yeah, so they said, no, it is real, so
Wow.
Are you in or not? And I said, yes. Of course I'm in, And I was pretty scared, to be honest. I was scared of the whole process because it was new for me, until that moment, I just composed for short films or smaller projects. So I said, okay, this is huge. I'm scared, but let's do something with it. So we started working as a team, and it was an amazing process because I received so much feedback from them and from the director, of course. And it was like a non-common process. I know that because the director is a friend of them. So he came several times to the studio to listen to the score and to give us feedback. So it was something really personal, like close to work with the team.
May I ask you? I've heard that has been done before. I've heard that directors do that. Are you? Or is that not true? Is that not common? That the directors? No, it isn't. Oh, okay.
At least for us as composers, we're not in touch with the team. Like I said, we're just like excluded from this part. Even with the guys that make the sound design or the mix. So it is weird because you said, okay, I'm doing the score and the music, and I don't even know who's gonna mix this, or who's gonna. So yeah, it's not common, but it was great to have him here and give us feedback. And actually, the first time that he heard the score, the first proposal that we made, I remember that we finished to see the scenes, and he was like, I don't like it. Like,
how was
nothing,
it to
I don't
process
like
this?
it. Yeah, and I mean, of course, Lucas and Frank that are used to it, that they already worked in different films and big projects, they were like, okay, like the common thing. And I was like, oh my God, after so much work, weeks of composing, and he just throw it to the the window. It was like, okay, but it was also a good experience and a good lesson, because they told me you have to get used to this, because you can be too attached to your creation. And I think as artists, that feeling,
Yes.
when you do something and you feel like you're naked, because it's something so personal. And if someone just comes and tells you that you don't like it and that you have to change it, first times it is hard to do that. But you have to be aware that it's a common thing, and again that you can be attached with that. You have to let it go and start again. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, whoa. Okay, that is again you. As Valeria said, like how it was hard for you, but it was like you were like, okay, but next day you just sat down again and started, or like how, as you said, how did you process it, like that rejection? Because I have heard, and we've heard that you're really good with it. You're good with processing rejections. You're really good at. You're very focused. I think that's the thing, because you have a goal, you know where you're going, and it's kind of like, okay, it's not working, it's fine. I'm just continuing. Okay, it doesn't work, it's fine. I'm not going to continue. When you get from a director, and I mean, he's really well known. Please say his name, because you say it such a beautiful way. I'm not going to butcher his name, the director's name.
The director's name? He's Albert Pintó. Albert Pintó.
Yeah,
so he's
from Albert Pintó.
From here.
So beautiful. And it's Barren Land we're talking about. You just, the next day, you just went like, okay, I'm going to start. I'm sitting down. It wasn't no issue for you creatively, like for the creativity to flow again and just sit down and write or compose?
No, it wasn't, because the director was pretty clear with what he wanted and how he wanted to have the score. So he said, I want this sound, I want this idea, like general idea. And so we started from there, and Lucas and Frank told me, okay, this is usual, and let's focus on the notes that we took. What does he wants, and what can we do with this? And Frank, that is he plays guitar, he started to playing something, and this is almost the music mood of the entire movie, you know. He started just playing something, and so we said, okay, we like what you're doing, let's record that. And we start recording, and I think we get motivated, and we said, okay, let's record more instruments, you know, because the director wanted to sound more like organic. And we were sounding a little bit like big sound, you know, like a Hollywood sound, and
Cinematic.
everything like more digital or. And he said, no, I want something more organic. So we started to record shakers and drums and everything, and we started working with this. And then we have the idea of, okay, this movie is a co-production of Mexico and Spain, and the team, you know, the actors are also Mexicans and Spanish people. So we said, let's find a sound for like, for the Mexican side of the story, and also for the Spanish side.
I love it.
So yeah, it was amazing because I could compose the music for the bad guys that are the Mexicans.
Yes.
And we use shakers, and you know, this sounds that it sounds like Mexico a little bit. So I really liked it because, of course, I'm from Mexico, and that was also like a way of feeling closer with my country, you know, with this part.
That's cool. But how did you end up on set then?
Yeah, exactly.
That is the part that is very exciting.
As a composer on set, please tell us about that.
We fly to Madrid for, well, they wanted to introduce us, you know, the director and me. And so we fly to Madrid. And they were filming a scene in a hotel. And so Lucas told me, okay, let's go to the set and let's wait until this finishes so we can talk with Albert and everything. So we just arrived, and the director said, are you ready? Just go with the, you know, with the guys who make the
Wardrobe?
the clothes and the makeup and everything. And I was so confused. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And Lucas did know at that time.
He didn't tell you?
He didn't say anything. And he was like, yeah, I forgot to tell you, but Albert always liked to work with us in short scenes or anything, you know, like they are in all his projects. And I was like, oh, okay, congratulations, you know. And you told me you're gonna be there as well, so
you were an actor then all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So you went with wardrobe, got makeup, everything, and you were put in a character, and then you had to act.
Yes. Without knowing.
What was the scene about?
We were at the restaurant, and I was a waitress, yeah. And they were like cooking things, and so we were in the kitchen. And I mean, it's just 1 second that I walk through, you know. But
No, it doesn't matter.
I was totally
1 second of a feature film.
1 second, but
cool.
that we repeated so many times. I was like, okay, I really respect actors and actresses for this. I was so tired, and I didn't even talk, you know. And I was like,
You're like, okay, this is, thank God I'm a composer. Because when you're talking about the way you composed for Barren Land, and that you were doing the sound for the bad guys, and you with the shakers, and he's sitting there with a guitar, I was like, I want to become a composer. That sounds amazing. Like sitting there, like creating like that together. I mean, that sounds very, I don't know, it just sounds so bohemian and cool. Like just in the flow and having fun. And Is that like that all the time, or am I just having
No.
this beautiful vision of it?
That's what I wanted to say.
I think I'm really lucky. I'm lucky as fuck, to be honest, because I have an amazing team and I have an amazing space also that I feel like mine. So that helps when it comes to create something that you feel comfortable where you are and with who you are. But of course we had so many situations where we feel, like the pressure and the stress here, when we are about to make a delivery, or it is different. The vibe is not always like, oh, we're happy, and no, there are times that we want to kill each other. It's like, don't talk to me.
Don't even look at
That's
me.
also important. Like the energy has to flow to create something. But what I'm curious about is how is the creative process like on the inside? Do you need to be left alone for the part of it? Do you usually guys all together in the same room composing? Because for me personally, I love to collaborate, but when I'm writing, I have to be left alone. When I'm editing, I have to be left alone. Even if I'm like in the crowded room, somehow I need to zone out. I need to like face the corner, not talk to anyone, I don't know, like I'm like that. There is the part that I can collaborate, and the other part I just need to be completely by myself, reflect on the things that I'm writing or thinking. And I'm not talking about music, of course, I'm talking about writing words, screenplays. And this is I know that it works completely different from different people. And I'm curious, how does it work in music, and how does it work particularly for you?
Well, I think we try to have a balance between having our personal moments and also working as a team all together. So here at the studio, we have our work zones, and we are isolated from each other a little bit. So Lucas and Frank work in the other room, and I work here. And well, now we have another administration, because we received a new composer in the team. So now I work here with Lucas, and Frank works there with the other composer. But again, we have our space, and of course our headphones. And when we are creating, when we are putting together ideas, I think most of the time we do it alone. And then we show it to each other. We said like, okay, we have something, come and hear, and give feedback and comments and everything. And there are less times that we are together, like creating, at the moment. For example, the story of the guitar, and when recording, of course, that those were moments that we were together.
Oh, I wanted you to say it's always like that. It's like, Ava, this is every day. We're just sitting and we're just like with the shakers,
chilling,
and
playing guitar.
And that was it, and that's how it just happens.
I've heard so many stories of how, like, not for film, but just the groups that I like, the artists that I like, how they end up like in some hotel suite, just like the whole band, and someone would start like with a lyric or with a chord or with a riff, and then everyone else. And it sounds like, it's so like exactly like Eva described. It's like this cool vibe, this energy, and you just want to be a part of it. But the reality of it is what I expected to hear, is that it's more, it's hard work, guys. It's hard work.
It's
no
always
miracles.
hard work, isn't it? That's the thing. And you're not afraid of it,
I think it
Sarah.
also... What?
You're not afraid of it. I love that about you. You are not afraid of hard work. You enjoy it. You're like, yeah, okay. I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, sometimes I am afraid of showing my compositions. And I think that's because I really admire the people I'm working with. So I sometimes I feel like ashamed of it, but I'm trying to get better with that, and to understand that I am in another point of my career and of my experience, as a composer. And yeah, I just want to take the opportunity and to learn from people that have experience with that, and that's it. Yeah.
May I ask you something? And I think there's so much to learn from you, from your stamina, from your clarity, from your strength, how you deal with, the no's that come around the corner all the time when you're creative. Would you have, like, can you give us an advice, like, for young, or doesn't matter how old they are, but women that want to start out as composers? Like, what would be your advice to them?
That's a tough one. Well, of course, to give it a chance.
Nice.
I think it's pretty common to hear when people say, try it and don't be afraid. It is really easy to say it, but it's not easy to do it. But if you don't do it, you don't gonna know. You're not gonna know if you are capable of it, if you actually like it, because maybe you don't even like it. You just thought you like it, like me with architecture.
True, so
And so sometimes you're so focused on, making plans, and actually there are things that are going on while you're making those plans. So just do it. I don't know, think less and act more, maybe. Don't overthink, because when you overthink, it will be harder, or maybe you're not gonna take that step. So if you have that spark in you, that curiosity, at the moment that you have it, just try to embrace it and go with it and try it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think that's exactly what it is what you're saying, is take the steps. Just start taking tiny steps. Like, walk towards it.
Exactly. Tiny steps, and until you realize that you are in another point of your path. And that also motivates you to keep doing it,
And it's also important, as you said, like, to see if you like it. Because the reality of it, like, there are a lot of, the professions that we kind of get and understand that are more conventional, quote unquote, we understand what they involve. But with composing, for example, for film, you might expect it to be one thing, or filmmaking in general. And then you are on set for 12 hours on end with, like, a small break, not even that, for food and toilets occasionally. And you're back on it. And, like, and you're like, yeah, that's the reality of it. Everything else is like a glamorous kind of thing that we are trying to see and shape it into. But the reality of it is hard work. Do you like it? Are you ready for it? Do you want this? Because this is how it's going to be. Not for one day, but for, like, the rest of it. But this, if this is your dream, if this something is really for you, then you can know it only through trial and through, seeing what it involves. That's the important thing.
Exactly. It requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's not like the positive or the shiny part of the dream. There are also dark moments, and you have to be aware of it. That's it. That not everything will be a good experience or positive, but if you really want it, you have to go through those experiences as well. And I think that actually those moments are the moments where you learn the most.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you for
and you
saying
learn
that.
about yourself as well.
Thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of people, and I'm not an exception, you feel when you're finally on the right path, then everything is flowers and roses and peonies, and it's, it's just beautiful. You wake up every day, full of energy, and you're just, like, right into it. But the reality of it, it's still hard. It's just, it gives you purpose. That's the difference. But it's still hard.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And the unicorns. I want unicorns. I want a lot of unicorns.
That is important as well.
Can we have unicorns? And someone playing the guitar? And then, I think you are, I feel like with the Women's Film Association, the way you're talking to your colleagues, because it's, how many percent are female composers? It's like really, do you know that, you guys? Do you know the percentage?
Yeah, I think we're like at 2%.
Right. We talked about it when I was like, you are the 1%, and then that's the force of power you have. It's like Sarah's the 1%, and then there are others. No, I'm joking.
And the rest is
Obviously
another
not.
one.
Yeah, exactly. No, of course not. But what is your vision for the future? Do you have one? Because I felt like when we met and when you're talking and how you are approaching the female empowerment in a very healthy, beautiful way. It is not about excluding men. It's about including men. It's about collaboration together, which Larry and I fully 100% agree on and love. Yes. What is your vision? Like, do you have one for the future? Some steps you want to take?
For the composer collective, or?
Yes, in that field and that you're in.
Well, I have a dream. I have this goal.
Yes.
That is to in some way that I still don't know how, but I want us to be more close to the whole team of for making a movie or whatever audiovisual project. I think it is necessary to understand, that this bond between the creative minds behind of a project, it is totally necessary. We need this, and it's so much better in so many ways, and I think the audience can feel that as well.
Yes, yeah.
With the final product. So actually at the Berlinale, I met some girls from my country. They work in this film association, and that is called IMCINE, and they manage funds and activations for projects in the film industry. And I went there to meet these girls, and I told them, hey, I want us to do something together. I mean, I'm in Spain, but I still want to keep this connection with Mexico, and I don't know how can we start some project that involve us, and makes us closer with the other part of the team, of the creative team, and because we're never invited to anything, I mean, if you go to the film festivals, for example, we don't have workshops for us. We don't have anything for composers. So it's like, hey, we exist, we are here. So that's the kind of ideas that we are working on it in CIMA, in IMCINE, trying to give us a space in the festivals, in the proposals of the projects, with more, I don't know, more competitions or awards specifically for composers and emerging composers as well. So yeah, I'm trying to do that, and let's see where it goes. I don't know.
I love that is your dream. And I see, it's interesting. When you said it, I was like, right, it isn't. Isn't there anything, but I wasn't aware of it before. And I think that is the most important thing what you're starting the conversation. That you're a huge part of the filmmaking. You're a huge part of every single series, film. Without music, it's not the same. Music really, what is your opinion on that? Music and film. For me, music can really make the film better. like in so many ways. Like if you find this special song to this particular scene, and it just makes it amplifies it on every level. What is your opinion on that?
Well, yeah, I think music is a way of communicating. It is a narrative as well, not only the visual part, but as well the sound. And you can say so many things, yeah, with the music. You to transmit emotions, to amplify an image, or to make it more personal, or anything. You can do that with music, and for us it's pretty hard as composers and musicians in general, because sometimes you feel like people don't understand the how much it costs to compose and to make a score, and I'm not talking only about money. I'm talking about the time, the hours that you spend here. I think I live more in the studio than in my house, for example. It's like I spend here so many hours, and I'm tired sometimes, and I'm trying to find as well inspiration. And so sometimes when you deliver something and you realize that people don't value that, because they said like, okay, can you do this change for tomorrow? And it's like, it's not that easy, it doesn't work like that. I mean, it takes time. So I think this is what I want, that people in the industry start being aware of what musicians give and what we also want to receive, of course.
Especially in the industry, because I can see how the audience perceives this. I think when we are watching a movie on the big screen, if everything is seamless, no one is actually thinking, oh, okay, this is like the music part, the sound part, I know the picture part. No, it's like everything works. And then we have this immersive experience of the film. And the audience, just a general, like a common person from the street wouldn't think, okay, the music was like this big part of it, and then the cinematic is another thing. No, but in the industry, that's a whole different thing, right? Because we are like, as professionals, should appreciate each other's effort. And if music is off, if sound of the film is off, it's a catastrophe. It can fuck up the whole movie. It's as important as the visuals. It's like 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the right effort. It's a beautiful effort.
It bothers me that it's like you are so used to collaborate in projects, especially in short films and everything. And I think that is perfect when you're starting. But there is a moment that people are expecting you to do things for free most of the time. And I think you're related with this feeling, like artists in general. And it's like, no, my time also costs, and my effort, and I studied, and I've been studying for that, and I inverted so much for this. So it really bothers me sometimes when people just normalize that. It's like, oh, you're an artist, you collaborate. They don't even ask. It's like, let's collaborate, let's do it. And it's like, no. That doesn't, I mean, I have to live from something.
We have to live for something. So we're going to say, pay me, bitch. Just saying.
Exactly.
No, you know what? I want to tell you something, Sarah. And that's something Valeria does. And it's amazing. From beginning on, for her, it was like really clear she wants to pay the people that are working with her. And she just made it happen out of her own pocket every time. And these are the people. So if you guys are listening or hopefully watching too, Valeria is a huge aspiring role model for that. It's like this. She values every single human being that is on that set, that is working. Everyone is equal and they're getting paid. And Valeria, I just have to say that is amazing.
Thank you. I mean, that's... again, it's the same as what we discussed before. I feel like that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Though, because we are not spoiled in that way, because people assume and they think, the credit is enough. And sometimes it is about that, getting the credit, or it's a collaboration, it's a project that the person maybe cannot afford, but it's something meaningful and you want to be part of it. And that's okay, but let's not assume. Let's just talk to people and see if they are willing and open to it, because this assumption that someone is going to do something for you out of the goodness of their heart for free, it's unrealistic also, because people have to feed themselves, feed their families, and this is work. It's not something that you do just because. It's something that you do because it's your passion, but also it's work, and every work has to be rewarded. It doesn't matter,
And that,
Yeah,
So
I think we
100%.
just have to have a balance between collaborating but also
yes, yeah,
receiving.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, there is no harm in asking, are you open for collaboration? This is the project. Let's see how many hours you are willing to put in it. Do you have time for that? This is the credit, or this is what I can offer realistically. If it's going to work for both of us, then yes, sure, it's a beautiful thing to collaborate. But then someone assumes, oh, you're going to do that for me because that's what you do, right? So no, that's not how it works. Nobody has to do anything for you just because that's what they're doing. No.
No, it's beautiful. Sara, this has been amazing. Your energy is beautiful. And that's the way I felt when I saw you and met you at the Berlinale. You, as I said before, you're just so clear and you have such a beautiful vision. And I also love how you are always looking at the bigger picture, even, and going extending it outside, just not you and your career, but also wait a minute. And not just women composers, but you're looking at the whole picture and you're going we as composers need to be seen. We need to be valued. And as you're saying, is these things where festivals, there should be more categories for, that we honor your work. And also that you have courses and. So I see you having, you were beholding one at a film festival. I think that's definitely going to happen. And I think that's beautiful. So you think your dream is a beautiful and inspiring dream that you have. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you for spending this morning with us. Yes. That was a pleasure.
And we have to be honest, you guys, because that's just Valeria and I, who we are and what we do. So we had done this interview with Sara and it was so good. And we were all so excited. And then we had a technical issue and we are recording it now again. Thank you, Sara, so much, because that was on my end, the mistake. Thank you so much for just being so open to and flexible and go okay, that's okay, let's do it again. I was oh, thank you so much. Hey, things happen, and it happened this time around. We hadn't had it before, but so glad it happened with you.
The first thing that I thought, it was great, I will improve my conversation, my English, and it didn't happen again.
No, you were great. True. Don't say it.
I forgot words. I got nervous, but it's been amazing. And
this is amazing. And this is what it is. It's guys, if you're listening or watching, it is what we said in the beginning. Start before you're ready. Mistakes will happen. Things we having Sara here, having this beautiful conversation, and then we're okay, we need to do it all over again. and that's exactly what it is. Or you, Sara, you're very clear, and it's beautiful listening to you, and not going because a lot of times people feel they're not, their English isn't good enough or something, and then they just don't dare. And I'm dare, come have a conversation with us, reach out to us. We love that. We've been having that now, that people write to us, from the film industry, all branches, and they're just hey, we love what you're doing, and we want to, come. And
We want to do this.
we want to do this. And we're like, yes,
Sure.
thank you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for showing interest. Let's definitely have, the pre-talk and let's, look at this. So no, it's good. So I just want to say thank you. But you were
Thank
so
you.
flexible.
Your energy is amazing.
Yes. Love it.
Well, I hope you receive a lot of women and people who are interested. And if you're listening, you have to come to this podcast because
Thank you.
you can feel it. I mean, you feel comfortable and it is amazing what you also transmit. So thank you. Thank you for the space and for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank
One more thing. You will send us all the links also from the studio you're sitting in and Frank and Lucas, and they sound like they're amazing. Amazing mentors, which that is beautiful. So if you are a beautiful listener, that we will have in the show notes how you can connect just with Sara, and also it's also able to you also independently work on projects, right? So if somebody wants to work with you, and they have a feature or short film, commercial, they can reach out. Where is it best to reach out to you? Where is it best to get in
Well,
contact with you?
I have email, of course, and I really check my email daily,
Okay.
or my personal number as well. I feel good with both ways of communication.
Got it. Okay, so what we will do is that we will put the email in the show notes,
Yes.
and that's the best way they can then reach out to you. Also, obviously, all your social media links.
Yeah.
So please follow her, see what she's doing. It's beautiful. Her work is beautiful. And also, I think we talked about that we can have, what is it, iCloud? No, what is it called? Where you have the sound.
CIMA?
No, the sound that we can see your work or listen to your work. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Where do you have it? On which platform do you have it?
I have my website there's my portfolio, and it's linked with a YouTube channel and also social media. And now I'm working in some material that I want to put on Spotify and different platforms. So we'll be there pretty soon. I have an artistic name, an artist name, so you're gonna find me.
Do tell.
Yeah, do tell us. Like, are we allowed to know?
Well, I mean, it is my name. It's Sara Cool. It's like KHU, because I made like a mix of my last names. So
Nice.
it sounds a little bit Chinese or something like that, right? Like,
No, this is an
Sara Cool.
exclusive, guys. We just revealed the name of the artist.
Yeah.
That's the first.
It took a little
a
bit
friend
longer,
told
but
me.
hey. A friend of you told you what? That it sounds.
Told me that it sounded Chinese, or so that's why I ask you.
I don't feel like that. I mean, it depends on how you say it, obviously, pronounce it. But I think it's an interesting mixture then. Do you know what I
Sara
mean?
Cute would be better.
Sarah Cute. Yes. Sarah Cute.
Just a joke.
I love it. I love it.
I will
beautiful name.
change it. I will change it for that.
No, it's going to be Sarah Cute.
Sara Cute.
Thank you. We so much appreciate you. We will be in contact anyways. And as we talked about last time, on the one that then didn't work out, the three of us, we definitely need to do something together and work on a film.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, please. And with CIMA as well.
And
we have
CIMA, yeah.
to make this
so-
alliance.
Yes, love that. Amazing. Yay! This is the way to
Thank
start
you.
a day. Thank you.
Yes.